bench press Ozil?
I heard that Mesut weighs about 12 stone, so I reckon I could do about reps 15 of him. 15. 15. That'd be easy because what will happen is I don't want to injure him because I want him to like I said be fit for like the next game whenever that is. And also remember he's just become a dad.
Yeah,
congratulations to Mesut. And I remember he's got baby like I said sitting duties because the other day when his wife needs to sleep and the kid needs a feed during the day.
True. You can do all that.
Mesut needs to be fit for that because it's going to be a long, hard slog. I think he's going to be more tired doing that than actually tired playing for the Arsenal.
Well, what have you been doing at the gym? I know you're a man. You love the gym, innit? You love your
absolutely love it.
Gym, doing your weights and it. What are you doing?
Well, the thing is that it's funny to say that because I've actually got a bar at home with some plates, so I can like I said do some bar curls. I can do some like squats. But there's this guy on Sky One. I really should be doing this, but he's a guy called Fit in 5. His name's Marvin Ambrosius, and basically he has about 30 episodes over 3 series, and that is it. Fit in 5. I say to anyone, if you want to, like I said, do a workout, do 4 of his shows for 20 minutes, do a bit of press ups, sit ups, all bit of core work. Try and do that 4 or 5 times a day. You won't be none the wiser. Remember, just because it's lockdown doesn't mean you can eat bad. Remember all those crisp biscuits. Chocolates.
I know, man. I know. You know what, Kenny Kenya? I started off this lockdown terrible, right? And it wasn't until about a week and a half, about just over a week and a half ago, I said to myself, you know what? Every day I'm picking and eating food that I don't even normally eat because I'm stuck at home, right? And also I'm starting to I'll finish this show and then I'll have a little drink, and I'm like, I don't even normally drink that much at home. I'm a guy I can't really normally drink unless it's like socially, right? And I thought about a week and a half ago, I said, you know what, now, man, and I just stopped all that. I've been on the healthy tip since then. And then the other thing about it is that in my garage, I've got I've got weights. I've got like a bench. I've got weights, like you said, bar with plates. I've got a punch bag. I've got a cross trainer. And I'll be honest with you, I hardly use them, right? And
use it.
This past couple of weeks, man, trust me, I've been like sometimes twice a day using it. I mean, on the boxing, man, I've been getting decent, so it's been, that's the one positive I'd say for me. I feel a lot sort of fitter since I've been, doing all that training. I go for quite a long walk every day, you know what I mean? So that's the one good thing. But I know, like, for guys like you, my brother's the same. He lives in the gym. He's feeling it, and he's like, he goes for a run every day, but he's like, man, it's not the same.
No, it's not really the same. But I think what's happening is that you've got to work within your confines. You've got to remember that before we had things like gyms, we'll go into like probably out in the park, doing a run around the park, probably doing push-ups, exercises around the park. So we got to go back to basics. Obviously, with the lockdown, we're not going to be able to do that on a regular basis. But all homes do have some sort of equipment. And remember, you've got space. You can easily do things like working your triceps, man. Like just using using the settee just to do tricep presses. You can do everything you can. It's just one of those things where you've got to remember one thing is that it's very unusual. You're basically, if you're working from home, it's not as if you're getting in the car going to the pace of work and walking from your car to an office. You're actually getting out of bed, getting changed, getting on your computer, or some people just work through their pajamas. So it's a very tiring experience. You know what I mean? So it's it's a crazy hard to adjust.
And there's a guy who says, Kenny, can you train Martinelli to get him ready for next season?
I'll do my best. I just want him to sort of take things at a time. I think we pushed him too hard, but the reason why we pushed him too hard because we started success for quite a while, and we just want that breakthrough player to come through.
Right. Well, listen, I've got loads of things for you because I know that you always disagree with literally everything I say. You always put me. you're always putting me in my place, right? But let's run through a few things. A couple of the things that I kind of spoke about on this morning show. First of all, the fact that Stan Kroenke has agreed to put a cash injection into the club. He said that, he's going to put some of his own money in the club to sort of stabilize things because of obviously the crisis we're in. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's something he's going to do as well, because he's not just going to put money into Arsenal. He's also going to put money to his other existing businesses in the US, because at the end of the day, everything's full stop. The economy stopped. Where everything's shut, we're shut for work. And what's happening is that I think it's for a PR thing that Stan's doing as well, is because obviously a lot of clubs, are taking the government on their furloughing initiative, which I'm very surprised that more clubs in the Premiership aren't doing, for simple reasons that one of the things that where we get our money from, especially where it's not TV, is going to be match day revenue. Also, you're going to have visitors to the training ground as part of the supporters experience, and also you've got stadium tours as well. So you're going to need non-playing staff to fill those sort of positions. If we're not allowed to do that because of the pandemic, then what will happen is, I think even though it's a PR hot potato, I don't see any reason why a club like Arsenal or any club shouldn't be taking the government on that. Because if you can, the reason why I'm saying that is because people just think that football's awash with money. But what people need to realise with football is that there's liquid assets and there's assets. Your players are assets. Your stadium is assets. And the actual value of the club is assets. But there isn't many liquid assets in football, because what will happen is that any liquid assets they get would go towards the goose that laid the golden egg, which is the players. Like if you look at Arsenal, since this happened, have lost £74.8 million. Now, 80% of that is TV revenue, which means they've lost money from Sky, BT. Obviously, they lost the minimal money they get from the BBC for a match a day. But also, they lost money because every Premiership game is live. They've lost money from Star Sports in South Africa. They've lost money from Fox Sports in Australia. They've lost money from NBC in USA. So and then you've got beIN TV, you've got Al Jazeera, you've got TVs in the Far East. That is a lot of revenue that the football club have lost. So, because we're closed for business, that is something that, like why clubs will be tempted to go down that initiative.
Do you think hold on, Kenny Ken. Club the size of Arsenal, right? Thank God, I'm glad that they didn't do it, but Tottenham, they did it. Liverpool, Bournemouth, they've all backed out now, but no, I don't agree. I don't think these clubs should be taking in the government furlough.
Can I tell you about what Arsenal situation? Remember, we've got a mortgage on the Emirates Stadium, which is going to run out in 2031. We're still paying that. We also owe money on transfer fees. So, like, if you look at the Premiership, out of all the Premiership clubs, they owe about £1.6 billion in transfer fees, which includes agents' invoices. Now, if you look at the Pepe situation, we've paid £72 million for Pepe, but we're paying that in instalments. Now, no money is coming into football, which means we owe money to Lille because they haven't got their monthly instalment because of what's happening. Also, remember we've taken out a loan from the bank because in order to pay off the stadium debt and other loans which football clubs have with all sorts of banks, Arsenal included, which means no money's coming in. So if no money's coming in terms of no money's coming for TV because you're not showing the matches, no money's coming in because you're not having fans like ourselves visiting on match day, or our kids going to, like stadium tours or training game tours, there's no money coming. We are closed for business, Rob. And that's what, Robbie. And that's why clubs have to sort of explore this. Obviously, it's a political hot potato, but there is not as much money in football as we think. We are talking about assets. The only clubs in the Premiership with liquid assets are Manchester United, Man City, and Chelsea. Manchester United are conglomerate, even though they've got stadium debt because the debts that the Glazers have been put on the club. Chelsea, through Abramovich, have got liquid assets because he puts his own money into the club. And then you've got the Man City, who are basically controlled by a country, which means they have the liquid assets. No other Premiership club has got liquid assets. They all self-sustaining models. So because they're self-sustaining models, they're going to do that. Tottenham, our rivals, remember, they just built a stadium. So because they built a stadium, that is a stadium debt which they've got to pay back. No money's coming in. Liverpool extended Anfield.
I hear you on all that, right? I hear you on all that, but also these clubs pre this, you know, they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money, and
they do make a lot of money. Yeah, but where does that money go to, Robbie?
Well, I don't know. I mean, as fans, we love to know.
I'll tell you where that money goes to. That money goes to the goose that laid an egg. Every bit of money you make in football, 90% of that will go on player salaries, because simple reason is that because of the money that the TV are paying them. Remember, the Premier League sell the products not just around Great Britain and Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic. They sell that product around the world at a very, very high price. Which means the players can now demand massive wages, and so can their agents, representatives. But you've got to remember one thing now: we're not sure where we're going to have whether the season is going to resume. A lot of Premiership clubs are now saying there's a cut-off date for the 30th of June. Now,
well, actually, they had a meeting about that today, and they've decided not to have that as a cut-off point. They decided to talk about it, and they're going to see how things develop, because I think they even realise that that's being a bit too.
Well, the reason the reason why they've done that is because of TV money. Because you've got to remember, right, is that all those clubs that I've listed, they might have listed, like, if you look at it, Man United have lost 116.4 million, Man City have lost 109.3 million, Liverpool 102.6, Spurs, Chelsea 91, Spurs 83, Arsenal 70.8. Now, if we have a situation where the government in May say, well, we're going to extend this even further, which they've got the right to do, and we go into June now, and then we're going to get a situation to keep doing this. And I said, right, enough's enough. God forbid that happens. The Premier League and the clubs have got to pay this money back to the TV stations, not just to the British TV stations, BT Sport and Sky Sports Broadcasting. They've got to pay this money back to our cousins from around the world who we're selling the product which is the Premiership to. Also, me and you, we're season ticket holders in Arsenal. We want our money back. So there's going to be a massive bill here. And how are you going to pay that back?
Guy owns the club. The guy owns the club anyway. He said he's going to shore it up. He is a billionaire. And
you've got to realise one thing.
Hold on, Kenny. He has been taking a profit out of this club year in, year out. So when the good times, when the good times are rolling and you're taking a profit out, when the times hit like this now, you got to do your bit.
Well, I've got an answer for that, because I've got an answer for everything. One thing you need to know about the cash injection is not a cash injection; it's a loan. It's a loan to him against the business, because you've got to remember one thing, right? Because we're not furloughing our staff towards the government initiative scheme. That money that he's loaning the club is going to cover the non-playing staff and operational costs, which, again, a bit of tautology there, but operations costs, stroke non-playing staff, and that's where the money's going to go to. But do you
reckon there'll be any money out of that for?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The reason why there isn't, because we are still banned by FFP. In terms of FFP, you've got to spend within your budget.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah. But come the end of the season, what I'm saying is, right? Obviously we're going to be looking to hopefully make a couple of signings. I mean, Mikel Arteta has already said he's looking for 3 signings. He said there's 3 positions that he would like to fill. He said a defensive midfielder, centre back he wants, and he said he wants.
Not happy with Torreira then.
And he said
Torreira,
and he wants an attacker as well. He said. So when he says attacker, he hasn't said whether it's a striker or whether it's a. I mean, let's cut straight to that. Does this mean that Aubameyang will be sold?
Well, you've got to realise one thing about Aubameyang's situation is that there hasn't been any talk of a contract from the player, or is there be any talk of a contract offered to from the club? Now, our powers to be beyond the scenes, obviously second in charge to Josh Kroenke, have routinely said that they're never going to let a situation where a player goes in the last year of their contract. There's a lot of players, Aubameyang included, are going to go into the last year of their contract. So what I'm trying to say is that if that's the case, you've got to look at the situation. If Aubameyang doesn't sign a contract, my stance when we spoke after Olympiacos is that the club have to look to sell the player. But you've got to look at another thing about Aubameyang as well from a duty of care thing, right? Arsenal got a duty of care to the player because remember the player has worked his nuts off for the football club. In the 3 seasons he's been here, he's probably scored out of all the central strikers, he's the highest goal scorer. Now he's given his all for the club. Obviously, he's done his 1/11th to try and get this situation. He can't do no more. Now, as a duty of care, he's going to be 30. Do we go up to the player and say, right, we're in transition of it, and we want you to sort of help the youngsters come through, like help Martinelli come through and help, Eddie come through and help, other Balogun come through as well. It's one of those things where you could ask him to do that, but hang on here. He hasn't won the Champions League. He's still got 3 years of his prime years left. Why would he waste it at Arsenal? Surely, as a duty of care for the service he's done, we should say thanks for the service. We understand your situation, and we won't stand your way if you believe that.
Duty of care.
I'm a realist, Robbie. I'm a realist.
Duty of care. Hold on, wait. You do what's best for Arsenal. Duty of care.
All right.
We're not the NHS, are we? You know what I mean? You do what's best for the club.
All right. I'm glad you said that. What's best for Arsenal is there's 2 things that are best for Arsenal. You can put it 2 ways. The first way, keep the player, but waste years of his career. We're still not going to be challenging in the next 3 years. We might even fluke the top 4, but we're going to win the league. Probably
we won't challenge without
tradition. We're tradition. Or we look at a situation and say, well, you know what? We got a pandemic crisis. Football's like I said under the cosh in terms financially. The club is under the cosh financially. We haven't qualified for Champions League in the last 3 years. We've got a player. Who's like an asset, probably that we could turn into a massive liquid asset because of his value and the fact he's still in the prime. We can use that money to spend on 2 or 3 positions, which the manager wants to do. Now, that in the long term, that helps the football club more than it would in the short term. It hurt the football club in the short term. But in the long term, the goal is to win the Premiership, to challenge for the Premiership on a regular basis, to challenge for the Champions League and win it. Now, we've got more chance of doing that in the next few years if we continue with continuity, or we get a Klopp-like figure in a manager. Now, the man in possession could be that Klopp-like figure. We don't know. But
then you can look on it like this, Kenny, yeah? Now, they're talking about they want players to take a pay cut, 12.5% pay cut if they don't make the Champions League. If they only make the Europa League, a 7.5% pay cut. But if they make the Champions League, no pay cut. And actually, they're even talking about, I was reading it earlier. Let me see if I can just get it here, where they were talking about they even give like some bonuses to players if, they got into the Champions League, bonuses for winning it, bonuses for, lots of incentives. Now, if your first and foremost aim is to get into the Champions League.
Yes.
Right? Because you quite, eloquently explain the problems that we have with finances and stuff like that at the moment. And a lot of that is because we're not in the Champions League. How can you sell a guy that's goals if you are to have any chance with the team that we've got, and maybe we might add a couple, but we know that they're not going to be mega signings. How are you going to get in the Champions League without a player of that quality?
I was 100% right. You're 100% right. He's a gun player. However, 2 have to tango. We still got a situation.
You're the Champions League.
But all right, you're right for the Champions League. But are we a club? Are we a Chelsea or Man City where a lot of their players are allowed to run their contracts, like Didier Drogba did when he left Chelsea the first time? They're allowing David Silva to do that, and they're allowing a lot. If you look at the clubs, those players, they was sign new contracts. They're allowed to run their contracts, but because the club i.e. Man City and Chelsea got liquid assets. Have Arsenal got the liquid assets that Chelsea and Man City have? And Man United? I don't think so. Which means they have to look at it from a business point of view. Yes, from a point of view, but you've got to look at it.
I want to see some ambition. Look at this guy here. Look at this guy here saying, right? Andrew, he says, evening, he goes, surely selling Aubameyang will set Arsenal back again at least 2 years. Selling the best players all the time, the mentality needs to change.
I agree. 100%. I know you should agree with him, but you've got to look at the bigger picture. The guy may want to cut his losses and move to a bigger club. No one's taking that into consideration. He may say, right, you can make me any offer you want, but you're not giving me what I want from a footballing point of view, which is guaranteed Champions League participation and a chance of winning the competition. Now, the club that everyone says he's linked with has won the Champions League 3 years in a row from 2016 up to 2018. They got knocked out in the quarters. Now, obviously, and obviously they're probably going to find it difficult. Man City are 1-0 up in the tie. But if you weigh up the chance of Arsenal winning the Champions League, balancing against Real Madrid, there's only one winner. So that's what I'm trying to say. But you've got to look at the
Yeah, I mean, there's been talk of links to Real Madrid. I don't think you go there. There's also talk that they're saying that they want to keep Jovic. So, you know, Pav says, fancy another swap, Robbie. Aubameyang for Alexis. As a United fan, I'd be happy for you to do this again.